Hey guys, what's up? I hope you're well. I am sitting in my car about to go in and get a DEXA body composition scan. So I thought I might take you guys along with me. Well, not while I actually get the scan, but while I talk about my results and everything like that. Just a reminder, for the last 6.5 months, I have been increasing my calories towards a calorie surplus. Since the end of January, I have put on weight. I've put on 5 kilos, and 5 kilos, okay, that's a number, but now it's time to go and get a scan and find out some more information around that number in terms of how much of that is muscle and how much of that is fat. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous for this scan. This is the first time that I've gone and gotten a scan where I've gone through an active, like, putting on weight phase. All of my other scans, I've basically stayed the same weight or I've lost weight, and I had a pretty good idea of what to expect. And as much as I preach, you know, I was at a fairly low weight when I finished my deficit and I needed to put on weight, and this is all part of the process of building muscle and having life happiness and able to eat more food. It is still scary for me, just seeing all the numbers in front of me, but I am gonna go in and I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna run through the results with you guys. But in the meantime, I'm just going to put in a little physique update that I filmed yesterday. So on the left is going to be me at the end of January at the end of my cut, and on the right is going to be me yesterday, so we can compare what I look like physically before we get into the numbers. All right, let's do this. Ooh. Alright, there you go. So that's what I am looking like physically. I would say this is my interpretation. Perhaps you've interpreted differently, but I think that my stomach, abs basically look about the same. I would say my upper back is probably holding some more fat than it was, but I think that's also to do with the way that I'm posing, because in case you didn't realize, I do not know how to pose because I am not a bikini model or step on a stage, and that is not my job. So who knows there. And I think the main thing that I hope you all noticed was the booty, because I'm pretty happy with that. It looks like I've come along well there. But anyway, it is now actually a few days later. I'm at work on my lunch break. I have been flat out the past few days, so I haven't been able to have the time to sit down and go over the results, but I'm spending my lunch break chatting to you guys and we'll go over the results. So let's have a look at the stats of the scan. So here are my scans side by side. This one is from the 30th of January, which was at the end of my diet. And this is the one that I got just the other day. And so there's 6.5 months in between these two scans. And over the last 6.5 months, I've been focusing on increasing my weight, trying to build muscle, etc. So we'll start off just having a quick look in comparison against the body types. So this blue here is lean mass, and then the more kind of green and yellow that you get, that's kind of more fat. So you can see there, still got a little bit of fat around my hips, but this is at my lowest weight and I was pretty darn lean. And you can see in comparison to now, holding more weight on my hips and just kind of generally more weight everywhere. You can also see that here I was in a fat deficit, so I actually did need to gain some fat back, guys, to be a little bit healthier, and I acknowledge that. And you can see now I'm now in the normal range, so that is good. That's looking all right there, pretty much to be expected. In terms of my weight, I ended my diet and that was 63.7 kilos. I'm now 68.9 kilos. So over the past 6.5 months, I've gained 5.2 kilos, which over the course of 6.5 months, it's all right. It's not too bad. in terms of body fat percentage, I was 17.3% body fat. Now I'm 22.7% body fat. Again, as my focus over the last few months has been building muscle, I needed to be in a calorie surplus. I needed to be gaining weight. I had accepted already that some fat gain was going to come with that. So, yep, over the last 6.5 months, I've gained 5.4% body fat, and still that was going to happen. I'm all right with that. The numbers that I was definitely interested in comparing these two scans was the amount of muscle mass and the amount of muscle gain, because that's what I really want to see. That's why I wanted to go through this whole process, because I want to gain more muscle, get stronger, improve my metabolism, change my body composition, all that kind of thing. So we'll start off having a look at down at these. It's broken down into each individual body part, your tissues, fat, lean, and your bone density. I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of like every individual part. We'll just look at the totals. And so the end of my diet, I was at 11 kilos of fat on my body. And now we've got about 15.7 kilos of fat. So it's about, 4.6, 4.7 kilos of fat mass gain over the last few months, and maybe that kind of freaks a few of you out, but again, like I said, I knew that some fat gain was going to happen. What I was most interested in was the lean mass. So this is lean mass. This is everything that isn't fat and isn't bone, so that includes both your muscle, your organs, water, tissues, all of that. But really, your organs should pretty much stay the same weight. So the mainly variations in lean mass can kind of come down to variations in muscle mass. There's other factors as well, but we're going to make that assumption. Ended my diet at 49.7-ish kilos of lean mass, and today I am now 50.4 kilos of lean mass. So basically it's been 6.5 months. I've gained 5.4% body fat, 4.6 kilos of fat, and just 0.7 kilos or 700 grams of lean mass. So that's the results. Quite possibly, like I said, the number that jumped out to you guys the most was the 4.6 kilos of fat gain. That's what it seems that a lot of women are really scared about. They kind of know, I'm probably not eating enough, I need to eat more, but are too scared to eat more in terms of the fat gain. In terms of me and my body, like you guys saw, I was deficient in fat by the end of my diet, and I didn't talk about this much at the time, mainly because I didn't realize, but my period had become a little bit irregular. I didn't lose it completely, but it just wasn't quite right. I needed to put some more fat back on in order to be healthy again, and I can say that my body is much healthier and happier, and I'm a lot healthier and happier when I'm 22 to 24% body fat. So for me, the fat gain doesn't really worry me. That's kind of what needed to happen. But 700 grams of muscle gain, it's taken some time to process. I've found it pretty disheartening, I would say, to be honest. Firstly, I just want to be clear. As a female not taking steroids, gaining muscle is extremely difficult. I think often a lot of numbers are thrown around on social media about like, oh, I gained this much muscle and lost this much fat in this amount of time, which just sounds ridiculous and often isn't really the case. I think a lot of the time, prominent figures on social media are probably measuring themselves with inaccurate measuring techniques, and there's also other factors that come into play, like if someone is new to training, they have a greater propensity to build muscle, and I am not new to training, therefore I do not. I've gone and got a DEXA scan, which is more accurate than a lot of other scans, and I'm not disillusioned into how difficult gaining muscle is. I think I've got a pretty good idea. But regardless, I kind of had a bit of an idea in my head of the kind of number that I wanted. I kind of wanted to be able to say that I kind of wanted to have gained over 1 kilo of muscle. And so to not get close to that, bit of a kick in the guts, to be honest. I'm not going to put a number around what kind of rate women can expect to see in terms of muscle gain. Firstly, not enough research has been conducted on this, number one. Secondly, there's just so many variables and it's difficult to kind of compare yourself to other women, just how different your nutrition is, what your type of training is, how long you've been training for, stress, hormones, all those kind of things come into play. So I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, if you're eating enough food and doing these exercises in the gym, you should gain X amount per month or per year, because I'm not going to put any numbers around that, because it's going to be different for everyone, and I wouldn't want to put a number out there like I had in my head, and then if you don't reach it and you become disappointed like I am. But in terms of me, like, the reason I'm disheartened is because I feel like I've been working pretty damn hard the last 6.5 months. For the first 3 or so months of my kind of increased calories, I was doing kind of hypertrophy, bodybuilding style programming, and then I was doing powerlifting programming, and I did add like a lot of weight onto my squat and deadlift in particular, and so my strength gains were just going through the roof. I didn't have any major kind of stress in my life. Overall, I was pretty compliant and things were going fairly well for me. There were no kind of extenuating circumstances that meant that I shouldn't be able to kind of put on more muscle. And I've had people say that, oh no, the number's wrong, like the scan is wrong, don't put your head in the numbers, all that kind of thing. It's like, well, a DEXA is also pretty accurate, I don't know. And then I have other people that say, no, the DEXA is right. You suck. No, they didn't say that, but they're saying that the DEXA is right, and therefore I imply that I suck. But basically, unfortunately, what this scan has made me do is it's just kind of made me scrutinize everything that I've done the last 6.5 months. Oh, maybe I should have been more optimal at this. Maybe if I had have trained in this way, I would have been able to build more muscle. You know, don't you? I'm sure you guys can relate that, I don't know, you're feeling good, you're feeling fresh, you're like, yeah, loving myself, and then, I don't know, you go and step on a scale and you're like, fuck. And it just like completely gets you down. See, I don't get that with a scale, but I get that with this body composition scan. That's how I feel. And I'm sure, like, reflecting on what I've done, like my training program and my nutrition over the last 6.5 months, I'm sure people will have like certain suggestions and people will be like, oh, you should do this. It's this magical thing that'll make you build muscle. And sure, they can have their opinions, but when I think back on it, would I have done anything differently? And I think the answer is no. I think even though I didn't see the gains that I wanted, had my time over, I probably still would have done what I'd done. I mean, coming off a knee injury, I was first starting to incorporate like leg exercises again for the first time. So I slowly kind of built it up and was doing hypertrophy work. And I really enjoy doing hypertrophy work, and I enjoy doing a little bit of cardio as well. So I started off doing training that I really enjoyed and was good for my knee rehab. Then I moved into powerlifting, which is really great because you have a set end goal, you have a set target, you have something that you can aim for, whereas I find that that's not so much the case with bodybuilding. So on reflection, even though perhaps there were ways I could have been more optimal, or I could have done this, or I could have done that, would I have changed anything? No, because I had a really fucking good time the last 6.5 months. I really loved the way that I was training. I do not regret eating more food at all. Like I said, I needed to eat more, and I think my message still remains the same in terms of, I think a lot of women feel like they constantly need to diet and be in this kind of diet state and be in a deficit state. And I've been very strong in saying that you need to eat more, you need to restore your metabolism, you need to try and build muscle. And perhaps I don't have the results to say, oh, and look at how much muscle I gained and how great it is or whatever. I don't have those results, but I can still say that eating more food and gaining a little bit of fat has improved my life so much more and has made me so much happier than I was when I was 17% body fat. I wasn't unhappy. I mean, you guys probably saw my end of diet video. I was pretty stoked with my results, but at the end of the day, I still didn't have like the best social life. I wasn't able to eat like all those fucking insane ice cream creations that I have. And so I very much stick by my message of that you need to eat a little bit more to live a little bit more, and that dieting perpetually is not the state to be in. So yeah, I only gained 700 grams of muscle, but I also gained a lot of calories, a lot of food, a lot more happiness, a lot more balance back into my life. And I can say that I'm a lot healthier and happier when I'm lifting a hell of a lot more and I'm eating more. So in terms of my plans for the future, well, in 5 days, the date is on my watch, I'm not just checking the time. 5 or 6 days, I head overseas for 9 weeks. So the goal, the immediate goal is to not get obese while eating as much food as possible in Europe. So we'll see how that one goes. I'll check in with you guys on that. But I'm gonna be setting new goals once I get back, and I don't know yet what those goals will be. Will my goals change considering these results and taking these results into account? I really don't know. It's gonna be something that I'm putting off thinking about until I go on my holiday and forget all of this stuff for a while and then come back. Then I'll make my decision of where to from here. But I guess I just want to end up by saying that although, yeah, I was a little bit disheartened by these results, and I know a lot of you ladies can relate to stepping on a scale and being disheartened by whatever results, walking down the street, no one knows how much you weigh. They don't know how much muscle you've got or how much fat you've got. They've got no idea. What they probably care about is how much of a good person you are, how good you are at your job, how kind you are, how funny you are, all those kind of normal human qualities apart from, oh, you only gained 700 grams of muscle, you suck, or oh, you've got this much fat on you, you suck. Like, people don't think that, like, what the hell, no. So I guess I'm just gonna be taking some time and I'm gonna watch over actually my own vlog of me at the powerlifting competition and how empowered I felt and how strong I felt and how much of a massive achievement that was for me. And I will not let these results get me down in any way, because that was such a goal of mine and I smashed it out of the park. And really, in the scheme of things, it's about your health and your happiness and your strength, and are you progressing in areas of your life. It's not about necessarily how much you're weighing on a scale, but I can say that I am healthier and happier and progressing in strength when I am eating more, and I will continue to do so in the future, and I am gonna build me some more goddamn muscle. I encourage you guys to as well, but yeah, I think that's all from me for now. I dare say this is going to be the last vlog for a little while because I'm about to go overseas. If you enjoyed this vlog, please subscribe, and I'll be back from overseas with some of my travel adventures, hopefully. Please leave a comment if you would like. Thank you guys always so much for your support. I much appreciated, and thumbs up and all that, and follow me on my socials, all that. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate it. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you when I get back from my travels.